Hello everyone, Jesse Webb, TradersPro. Market conditions remaining bullish in a bull market. We're seeing overall momentum pulling back just a little bit. Yesterday we had that a little higher up in the extreme range as far as momentum, had a little pullback on S&P, which is good. I'm going to show you a couple of additional ways to look at these pullbacks. These are what we're wanting in this kind of a market. Is we want to see this move up to this extreme range and then pull back into this buy range, and that's where we start to look for additional opportunities in this kind of a bull market. Breadth is still very strong, which means there's a lot of stocks participating in this uptrend. Sentiment also is good. We also have our buy-sell ratio, which is healthy and positive right here. Just think about this this halfway line right here, cutting right through the middle. And if you glancing at this and say, what should my bias be? What should the overall direction of the market be in terms of my decision making? This is one of those additional ways, is looking for this green line above the red line. That just simply means that the majority of stocks, or a large majority, in this case almost 4-to-1, that number says 3.93 if you can't see it, or that was yesterday, so 3.11, and that means that for every 3 buys in the database, there is 1 sell. So that's strong breadth, adding to the conviction of this uptrend. Sentiment is at the upper range of this. We know that we're towards the upper end of that upside range, so we've got to be a little bit cautious, allowing for a pullback to take place. If we go over and take a look at SPY, you can see that that one little down day, pulling that back a little bit, has moved that from extreme back closer to this buy zone. We want to be back inside of this buy zone, and then we want to start to watch for some support. There could be some support here or here if we're looking for a place for the market to bounce. So don't get overly freaked out at these levels if they are extreme. Yes, we've had a really big run up, but we need a little bit of a pullback into these areas for a continuation of this overall sustainable trend. If we get a trend that starts to go straight up like this, we know that that's just not sustainable, and oftentimes they come right back down just as fast. So we want to continue to see this happening just the way that it is right now. So if we take a look at some of the other areas, some interesting things happening in the market right now. If we look at the indexes tab, we've got the transports, the mid cap, the Dow composite. The Dow had a big move this last couple of days. I'll look at that chart as well. And the industrials at 18. So the Dow Jones Industrial buy-sell ratio is at 6-to-1. 18 buys, 8 holds, and 3 sells. And the risk on trades, some of the NASDAQ names and small cap, Russell 2000, 3000, those have been dropping. So those led this rally higher, and now they're pausing, and now we're getting another rally in kind of this mid cap, large cap range again. So the overall strength of this uptrend could continue based on the fact that we're starting to see some rotation out of these real aggressive stocks that have profited and had these massive runs now into this next group of transports, mid cap, large cap type stocks. So we'll see if this continues to allow for more upside in the market. If we move over to our new buy list, well, before I do that, one of the things, remember this muscle stocks tab right here. And when we have, these are the strongest stocks in the database. These are the ones that are moving really, really strongly. And if we scroll through some of these, when you get a stock that is up in that 98, 99, 100 rank, and it has had a big run up, and now it has a pullback, and it is pulled back into this buy zone, it's not going to show up in the new buy scan because it hasn't gone yet it hasn't gone to a hold. But it has had a pullback, and potentially a pullback back to possible support. This is a nice looking hammer pattern right here, where we have an open, market drops, rallies back up, and then it closes right essentially back to where it started, right in that range. That's a bullish pattern in an overall uptrend on a very strong stock that didn't show up in the scan. So in this case, you can go through and look for some of these stocks that are in this muscle stocks group that are having significant pullbacks and have that kind of a pattern right here. So let's look at just a few. This is the top stock on that list. SMCI, another one. So here it was overbought. It was up in the extreme range. Now it started to pull back. Now it's got a possible location for a new entry. You just have a higher probability of it continuing the momentum higher if you wait for it to come back inside of that buy zone. Let's take a look here. MLTX, another one, nice one here. This is another good example of the pullback inside of the uptrend. Okay, everything green here, we know that we're in an uptrend. We can kind of see by this bar up here how close we are to ticking back into this hold range, but we're also starting to find some support right here. So as these stocks, these strong stocks are moving around inside of this buy zone, that's okay. That's what we want, something like this. We know we're going to have some volatility, but we want to have an acceptable level of volatility where at some point it's going to be too much volatility and it's potentially going to reverse, and we need to sit out on the sidelines and then wait for a new opportunity as it moves back into green. Okay, let's look at a couple of additional stocks. LMB pulled back, still a pretty heavy bar right there, down bar, wait for some confirmation there. Same here, IMVT. These are some stocks that have been really high flyers, but are now giving a bit of a pullback. My experience is when these stocks pull back and there's finding some support, and we're in a bull market, okay, then these are opportunities to buy the pullback, buy the dip. Okay, let's look at the muscle stocks new buys, and BMI confirmation, solid breakout possibility here, where you've got a close above that. Looks like it had this down, it is also forming this hammer pattern or retracement and then moving higher. Interesting pattern setup right there. I'm going to come over to this, move to BMI. Eli Lilly. So we saw Abbott Labs have a big move yesterday. And Eli Lilly and Johnson & Johnson, all these big cap pharmaceuticals have done pretty well this week. Finance stock GNW also making the cut in terms of a new buy. NVO, large cap pharma. Again, let's see what other large cap pharma are coming in here. Machinery. So again, that machinery, that sector, we're not seeing tech, we're not seeing biotech, we're not seeing some of those names that have been traditionally going back from hold to buy and moving. It's starting to shift a little bit. Consumer discretionary. Okay, it's just a different subset, a different industry, different group of stocks that's starting to find some interest. That can also sometimes be called sector rotation. Sector rotations is just a slower process, but this is also kind of size rotation from small cap, mid cap to a little bit larger cap. WSI UAL, that's United Airlines. So transportation, we did see that Dow transportation sector still leading right here. It's got a 14-to-1 buy-sell ratio, so 14 buys to 1 sell. So we know that sector is also strong and working. Let's look at the next couple and see what we've got here. ABC, dental supplier stock, really tight consolidation here. Could have a breakout, continue moving higher. MSI, let's look at this one as the last one to wrap this up. So here is a wireless equipment, computer technology. Well, this is Motorola. We know Motorola, right? The old school phone company. Nice looking pattern here with the uptrend, the counter trend, the support area, and then a confirmation bar giving us a green confirmation solid bar inside of this buy zone. That'll wrap it up for today's session. Everyone have a fantastic day and weekend.